I want to start with the Fed later today. What do you expect to happen here? And do you think that we're going to get a hike, which seems to be what's priced into the market right now?
Yeah, we're definitely going to get a hike. We should get a hike. The market's already priced it in. But I think, as you've said many times, and Rick Santelli said this morning, it's about the language after the hike. And we think they're going to be hike and then hold. News break, I think they're going to be data dependent next year and see how consumers do here in the holidays and then see how we go into the winter time. And I think that's the big key is hike and hold. We said this morning in our trade desk, it's a dovish hike. So if there's such a thing, it's going to be slow and mild after this. But I think that's what the street's expecting. So I think I appreciate the time clock, but I think it's going to be a normal day. And we're going to have to look then at Bank of England tomorrow.
In terms of the markets and the sell-off we've seen in recent weeks and recent months, you got a number of folks coming out this week, Jeff Gundlach, Alan Greenspan, basically saying it's the end of the bull market, we're going into a bear market, run and hide. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with it. I'm not surprised in Gundlach's statements earlier this week. He's a fixed income guy, and I think it's depending on where he's positioned. His comments were in his favor. In our view, it's look at the economy. You know, we're not growing at 3%, but we're certainly growing at 2.5%. Volatility is here to stay. And I don't necessarily think that we're going to be in a rip-roaring bull market in 2019, but there's reason to believe that we'll have a steady climb. Bob Pisani said this morning again that buybacks are at a historic level, so the number of stocks are slightly shrinking. People are going to keep investing. It's really always about the economy and the consumer. So until the consumer starts to back away and slow down, I don't think we have to worry about a recession being at hand. I think the Fed's doing exactly the right thing, which is raising rates back to normal so they have a full toolkit in case we get a weakness coming in later 19 or in 20.
Chris, I want to talk a little Facebook from the business and investing side. I believe you deleted your Facebook account earlier this year. Did that hold or did you get back on?
No, I deleted my Facebook account. Apparently, you have to have something called friends, and I didn't have any, so that wasn't a big problem to me. But, you know, I have been on their case from the get-go, and as you said in the lead-in, this was bombshell news. I'm sorry, but I think we're just going to have this kind of news breaking time and time again. There's no corporate governance at that company. There's no strength on that board to hold management accountable. And the comment about privacy, as your earlier guest said, it's too hard to figure out. So Chris, just anecdotally, I had 75 high school kids here.
The same could be said of Google in terms of governance, in terms of founders having outsized control over outcomes at the company. Given what's at issue here, which I believe is how data flowed from Facebook to partners, and did users really understand what they were agreeing to when they allowed that partnership to take place over their data? What do you think needs to happen to make you more comfortable, not just with Facebook, but how this data economy is treating user data?
Well, absolutely. I think it's got to start at the top within those companies. I think you need stronger boards. It's awesome that we have entrepreneurs that have built these empires, but they also have to realize they need some governance. We've seen that in Tesla. We've seen that in other examples where it's important to have a little bit of accountability. Accountability in life is a darn good thing. And I think that we need some more oversight into all the things. I'm not calling for mass regulation, but every other form of communication. You guys are on the TV and the FCC regulates you. There's got to be some kind of oversight, probably on a global basis, because these aren't just U.S.-focused companies, that really has a say about how data is managed and handled. Because you're right, it's being sold without people's knowledge. The privacy settings are far too hard to figure out. Our phones tell everybody where we are and what we're doing, and I don't think consumers really realize that as much. And we need to be aware that, you know, an Amazon Echo is a lovely product, but it's listening. And what does that mean?
Yeah, Chris, before we let you go, I want to get your thoughts on another CalSTRS holding, and that's Johnson & Johnson, after that really extraordinary report from Reuters and what was an extraordinary move to the downside in those shares. How are you thinking about that as a stakeholder? Is there anything here that changes your investment thesis?
We're thinking about it long term. And I would go back to the comments this morning by David Faber and Kramer, which is this is a darn good company, but it also shows the power of social media and disinformation. That whole incident that went on in India yesterday and the company trying to properly describe it, and then their difficulty of getting that news out into the market so that people believe it. Far too much is being on a reactive basis. And we got to realize there are hedge funds and other people out there who are playing dirty tricks who don't care about the long term, but care about the short term. In our case, we think it's a darn good company. We're going to look to the long term, stay involved. It's had a tremendous brand image. And again, there's a good example where it's up to management to safeguard the risks, be open and honest and transparent, and communicate with serious shareholders and find a way to manage this social media storm that happens to a company. But it's the board and management that we're going to look to be accountable, to make sure it's got safe, quality products, because name brand is key to them.